In the previous video, link in the description, I asked if you guys wanted any updates on my room tour. You guys said yes, so here is that video. Welcome to the only reason I stayed at my music retail job for as long as I did. As I mentioned way too many times on this channel now, I previously worked at a music retail job that I did not enjoy. What is that you say? Why did you stay there for as long as you did? Interesting question, and there's one very, very clear answer. Discounts. Before I even got hired there, I had already begun accumulating little bits of gear here and there to start my own mini studio setup. I wasn't even really thinking about buying discounted gear when the opportunity for me to be sales associate came up. I just really needed a job. It was sometime later that I realized that we were part of a larger company and had access to all of the same discounts and products as them. And then it hit me. I can use this job to help me get the stuff I needed. With all of that being said, here's an updated room tour and also showcase of the gear I accumulated, hoarded, along the way. Alright, get ready for some really crappy microphone quality because I'm using the microphone on my phone, but here we go. So if we turn to the right and work our way counterclockwise, we start with this. This has been here since the last time that I did any kind of recording of my room. Then over here we have some fuzzy socks I abandoned on my floor and my closet door. That rhymes. This is just a chalkboard wall, and basically I wanted to be like Peyton Sawyer and be able to write on my walls and on my closet door, but then I realized my parents would not let me get away with that kind of vandalism, so we compromised and I was like, look, let's do it made out of chalkboard, and now it's here and I only update it once at the beginning of every year. Then if we keep going over here to the left, we have my little dresser slash dollhouse bookcase with the usual stuffed animals. You're always asked that question, what would you pull out of a fire if you could only grab one thing? And it would be this guy right here. I've had him forever. His name is Bandit, and I love him more than I love my own self. Then, if we move down here, I have one of those microphones that everybody bought. And then I bought one of them because I wanted to be able to carry on in my purse and be able to pull it out whenever I wanted to announce if I was depressed or not. Then over here, I have a random piano pedal that I don't really use. I have not had a purpose for it yet. My second pair of prescription glasses, like I bought two, and then I bought these because I wanted to look like Dwight Schrute. I really wanted it to work out. I paid so much money for them, but I don't know, it just didn't look right on my face. So I wore it once for a school project where I kind of needed to look like a different person. And then I never wore them again and they sit here. So if the ones I have break, I have a backup and I can go around looking like a serial killer from the 70s. Then we move over here and let's ignore this ugly monstrosity. Let's move that out of the way. And I have all of my DVDs, my One Tree Hill DVDs, the movies and stuff that I like. And behind that, I showed you guys previously, but we have Twilight and a whole bunch of different books. They're not hidden back there because of shame. You know what? I have no shame when it comes to liking Twilight. Like, it's made a resurgence through TikTok. And you know what? My feelings are validated. Then right over here, we have this, which I got from a Lights concert I went to. And it now sits here, and I have this Bath & Body Works thing to just keep it from falling over. And then at the very bottom down here, I have my record player. I used to have a different one, but it sucked and would scratch my records. And that's probably because it cost $30. So that's thrown out now. I got this for Christmas. And by got this for Christmas, I mean I paid for most of it and my parents were like, here's $30 to kind of help. My parents never really buy expensive gifts. They more are a coupon to those expensive gifts. If your family is like that, let me know. Over here, I have a drawer. This is usually where my Ableton push goes, which is currently over there, but we'll get to that. Then I have my old blue snowball from when I used to record YouTube commentary with the Sims videos. You remember those days. This thing sounds like garbage, but I still have it for nostalgia. I have other microphone related accessories here, same with over here. Manuals, my Zoom recorder, which I'm just gonna put right back in there. It usually goes in there. I was gonna try to use that for this video to have better audio quality, but it seemed to be too complicated and I gave up. Also, I just realized that this little pamphlet right here is actually from the time I got my wisdom teeth taken out, so it's not even music related. I don't know what is going on here. Also, why did I keep this? I guess I'm just waiting for the day I decide I want to have a healthy snack. And then if we move over here, we have Gertrude. Why is she named Gertrude, you ask? Well, follow me. If you look back here, there is a label that says Gertrude. For an old video project I made back in college called High Maintenance about 2 janitors, the cart was named Gertrude, and I had extra sheets of that paper, and I just randomly taped it on there one day, and she became Gertrude. She looks like one though. It's not a super fancy keyboard, but it's good for practicing and the occasional connecting it to my computer and using it for MIDI. Also, let me close this drawer. Over here, I have a guitar case, not a guitar. There's not a guitar in there. I don't like to keep them by the heating in my house because that would damage them. And why would I do that when I saved my hard-earned money and spent it on them? Why would I do that? But yep, there's a case for one of the guitars, the hollow body electric, which we will get to. Over here, this is what I usually put on top of Gertrude to save her from the dust. Under here, I basically just hide notebooks and sheet music and stuff like that. I have more in my closet, but this is just the current stuff that I use. The first book I ever played through entirely on the piano was this. I did it poorly, but I was really proud of myself for like forcing myself to learn how to play sheet music. It's easy and I would really recommend it. And as we all know, we can't really listen to Fearless right now because of Scooter Braun until she releases the re-recordings. So I'm like, why don't I just play them? Over here is just the decoration that's supposed to be here, and it gets pushed around a lot. As you can tell, it's been pushed back because sometimes I'll put random things up here that I'm moving around in my room. Here I have a musical note that I got from Hobby Lobby. We're gonna ignore my reflection because I look like chaos. Over here, my friend was making a lot of bead art, and I had an obsession with Scott Pilgrim. So she made me this, and now Ramona sits here and watches over the room. If you can't tell, I really do have a really bad obsession with Scott Pilgrim and Ramona Flowers. I guess you could call me basic. And then over here, we have some of the guitars. Yes, I said some. Also, a mandolin. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take them, put them on the stand over here, and give you the backstory. The first guitar on our roster is Angel. So this was the first guitar I bought with my own money. Remember the guitar I was learning on, the Laurel Canyon that I said I hated? Yeah, I gave that away after I accumulated enough guitars. My mom was like, I can't justify you having this many guitars, and I was like, I can, and then I gave one away. So anyways, back to this guitar. This one is named Angel. I named it after my dad because this color blue kind of like reminds me of my dad. Also, I picked this one out specifically because I was taking lessons, and the person I was taking lessons with at the time said this would be the least complicated electric guitar for me to start out with, which they were horribly wrong about that. I don't know what they were talking about because these knobs and stuff I didn't even start to understand until recently. But anyway, I picked this one out because they recommended it, and the colors reminded me of the intro from The Princess Diaries, and I liked it a lot, and to this day this is actually the guitar that I use the most. Also, my car happens to be a similar color, so I really do like this light blue a whole lot. This one is an Epiphone Les Paul Standard. They don't sell this specific color of it anymore, but they do have it in other colors and stuff like that. And you know what? As somebody's first guitar, I really would recommend this specific model because it's held up well. I have another electric guitar that we'll get to that has not handled the test of time as much, but we'll get to that one. So this is guitar number 2. It is also an Epiphone, but this time it's an acoustic guitar. I decided that I wanted to get a new acoustic guitar because I had a nice electric, but the acoustic one I had, again, sucked butt cheeks. So here we have the Epiphone Dove. This one I got when I was finally working at the store. The other one, Angel, I got actually beforehand, so I ordered that one from Sweetwater, which if you're ever buying music gear, I would say Sweetwater is the best way to go. They have really great customer service and they've just never done me wrong. Also, when you buy stuff from them, they send it to you with candy. So anyway, this one I finally got from my new job and I got it discounted. So this was the second guitar I bought. I wanted a new acoustic guitar for multiple reasons. The one I was playing sucked. And then also I felt bad because I got a guitar named after my dad and my mom didn't have one. So that's where the Epiphone Dove comes in. Her name is Gladys and I think that she is very, very pretty. I got this one specifically because it actually has the bird on it. And my parents do this thing where they do a little whistle to each other, like a bird whistle. So whenever I see anything bird related, I like to get it and bring it to them. Also, yes, I still do have the plastic on the pick guard. I'm one of those people. Let me live. On to the third guitar I bought. My recommendation is if you're buying your first electric guitar, maybe don't get a Squire. Just don't do it. I'm gonna save you the time. It looks cool because it looks like you're getting a Fender and it looks like you're getting a classic model, but I'm telling you right now, don't do it. Anyways, now we're gonna talk about the guitar, even though I just trashed it. So this is a Squire Bullet Telecaster, and the reason I got this one is I happened to be at the store that I won't say the name of, and they had this. And it was this red sparkly thing on the wall. I was walking out. I wasn't even there to get a guitar. I was looking at synthesizers. And as I was walking out, I saw this thing on the wall. And I was like, oh, wow, that's beautiful. Wow. And so I'm like, oh, I have to have that. So I went ahead, looked it up. It actually wasn't that expensive for a reason. And I was like, I have to have that. That's really, really pretty. I've been looking into the Telecaster style for a while. And so I brought her home and I named her Valerie. There are multiple reasons for her being named Valerie. The first was that she kind of reminded me of like the Amy Winehouse Fender style, and the red just really stood out to me. I know Amy Winehouse played mostly Strats, but something about this just reminded me of her. Also, if you guys didn't know, Lights, her name before she changed it to Lights was actually Valerie, and this reminded me of the red hair, and there were just so many different reasons. When I looked at this, I was like, yeah, it's Valerie. So remember when I was talking about a guitar that was high maintenance and was very complicated for no reason? Yeah. Squire's gonna give that to you. The necks usually aren't aligned very well. I actually ordered one of these beforehand from the store I will not name, and this whole part here came cracked, and I was like, all right, well, I spent my money, I don't want that. And it's actually unplayable. The frets over here in the beginning just buzzed horribly. And I'm like, okay, so that must be the truss rod. So I brought it to the store I won't name, and they adjusted it, and it was fine for like 2 months. Now the neck is just entirely unusable. No string, you can't even tune the guitar. These things are all jacked up. They just detuned and messed themselves up over time. And I was like, all right, I can adjust this myself, right? And I adjusted the truss rod a little bit and nothing happened. So basically I'm waiting for the day where I have like just a ton of money and can modify everything and just keep the sparkly body. But until then, I just don't use her, and she sits there and she looks pretty. Also, can I mention that Squire, like, can y'all shave down the frets? I don't feel like stabbing my fingers every 10 seconds. What is going on there? On to the, is this the fourth guitar? I don't know anymore. So this one isn't anything fancy either. I just really wanted to own a classical guitar, and there was one at my job that I would regularly pick up, and I'm like, I really like the way this sounds. So this one is a Yamaha, and that is the number right in there. I also then got into this kick of wanting to name my guitars after my grandparents. So this one is Ramona. So it also happens to coincide with another interest of mine. But yes, so there she is. She's a classical guitar named Ramona. It reminded me of in the Scott Pilgrim movie when Scott is singing the song he wrote to Ramona on like an old beat up classical guitar, and everything just aligned. I was naming guitars after my grandparents. I needed a classical guitar, and Scott Pilgrim happened to just be playing a classical guitar to Ramona called Ramona, and I was like, ah, there we are, there she is. And again, because of the discounts, it really didn't cost me much to get her. So there she is. She is the acoustic guitar I think I pick up the most, just because it's just so easy and the sound is so pretty. The action towards the bottom is a little high, but I'm usually being that basic hoe playing open chords at the very top. So there's that. And oh god, here we go. Then there's this guy, and I keep him in an entirely different room. At some point I decided, look, I need to quit this job soon, but I need to get everything I want before I leave. So I'm gonna go ahead and just go for it, buy that really expensive all solid wood guitar. And I was looking at a tailor, and then I saw it in person, and I was like, oh, she's a little feminine. And I was on a grandparent kick, and I needed to name one after my grandfather. And so guys, this, if I can get it open, is Don Antonio. I named it after my grandpa on my dad's side. The original style was made around the time that he was actually born. This one is all solid wood, all mahogany, and just the colors and the style, it feels so classic and so nice. I'm not worthy of playing it yet. I feel like it's so high quality that it accentuates my mistakes. It's the really, really big purchase that I made right before I left. Actually, no, not right before I left, because then I panicked and got a whole nother big purchase right before I left, but we'll get to that. And then the last guitar. How did I find myself being able to justify this one? It is another Epiphone, and I thought I'd made all the purchases I was gonna make. I really did. And then I saw this when I was browsing the store that I won't mention's website, and I was like, oh, that's beautiful. I don't have a hollow body electric guitar. And I looked at it and I thought, Maya. I love Girl Meets World to this day. I'm a grown adult, I don't care. That was my show. And Maya was my favorite character. And I saw this and it just reminded me of her, but I also was still naming them after my grandparents. So I was like, okay, so it's Maya Andrea. So if you look here, as I said again, it's a hollow body, so. And yeah, here she is in all her glory. The case I showed you before, yes, that belongs to her. Even though I've never used the case, because guess what? I don't know why I thought I needed to buy a case, I guess to protect her, but I never keep her in it. And I also never take her anywhere. So what am I doing? But anyway, that's the other grandparent guitar. And I never actually ended up being able to get the other guitar that I wanted, that I was gonna name after my other grandfather. But it is what it is. I can continue to dream and browse and pretend I'm gonna get another guitar without my mom getting mad at me. And anyway, that is it for the guitars. Over there is a mandolin. Do I play the mandolin? No. Am I ever gonna learn? Hopefully. I don't know why I got it. I really wanted one, and it was between this and a banjo, but then I really looked at how pretty this one was, and you guys know I have my obsession with birds, so I was like, oh, it's called the moonbird, it's so pretty. So here she is. It has like little moons going all the way up the fretboard, and it's a really, really pretty instrument. If you also look at the knobs, it's got little moons on that as well. And that's what that sounds like. And now that we are done with the stringed instruments, we make our way over here to the main hub area. I'm sure you guys remember this desk. It used to be pushed over more this way, and now it's the centerpiece of the room. My church happened to be giving away both of these cabinets that match perfectly with the desk, and I was just like, oh yes, I will gladly take both of these. On those, I went ahead and put my JBL monitors. They're not the super big ones, but I was like, okay, I'm learning how to do audio production, so I'm not gonna go ahead and buy some crazy huge ones when I don't even really know what I'm doing. Then over here, we have a few different drawers. In here, I have this little MIDI controller, which I used a lot in the beginning when I first got it. Arturia actually comes with some really cool software, which was the main reason I got it. So I just looked into it, and this one actually does not have a name. But yes, it sits in this drawer, and on occasion I pull it out when I'm trying to do something really specific. Now that I've been using Ableton, I can map more things to that, so gives me more of a reason to use it. Then in here, this is the random crap drawer. The capo usually sits in here. I have my tuner. These are the little things that came with my USB hubs. So like that thing over there, they usually sit in these little things for travel. This is whenever I am switching strings out on my guitar, more cables, the package my tuner came in, the thing I use to clean my guitar, another capo that I always forget I have, and it usually sits in here because I found that, like, I don't know, I have to grip it really hard and it actually hurts my hand to use it. So I was like, oh, you're gonna sit in here forever. I have this, which my friend got me. It is a tuner. But if you look closely, it has Charmander on it, and I was really, really excited about it. It's very cute. I usually don't use it because I want to preserve it, so it sits in there. This is mostly for video. When I was in college, this would allow me to plug in all of my different chips and stuff to the computer. That is my old Nintendo DS Lite charger, so that's there. And I believe that is it. Just a bunch of random picks and stuff hiding under here. I'm gonna have to reorganize this later anyway, so I'm just gonna make a mess. But yeah, I have like these checkerboard little picks that remind me of Hayley Williams and her Vans. All right, and then in the third drawer, I have some guitar pedals. Here I have the Walrus Julia. I hope I remember to insert a picture of that here. Then I have, what is this? It's the Earthquaker. It's the one with the wizard on it. I don't remember the name of it, but it's a reverb. And then back here, I have the flashback delay pedal. And then these are the power supplies for that. And then here, I have this, I found that my microphone sometimes just sounded too quiet, so I use this in between. And then in here, I have all of my cables. Then over here, I have some good old textbooks on music theory, rock history, musical theater, stuff like that, the music business. Over here, I have my vinyls, which I will not go through each individual one right now, but I'm sure you can see how basic of a person I am through my taste here. And then down below, I have more stuff. This CD case I've had since I was a child. I bought it at the dollar store when I was like 8 years old. And it's still alive, so it's nice to see that it's still with us. I used to have a bunch of illegal copies of CDs. I would borrow them at the library, and then I would go ahead and make copies of them on my 1996 computer, and then put them in here. And then one day, my sister was like, "We're Christian." She had some weird, great revelation. I was like, "We're Christian. We're not gonna listen to worldly music anymore." And she threw out all of my CDs. So there's that. She apologized, or she regularly apologizes to me about that, but I'm still bitter. And then down here I have my CD collection, which actually, I'm struggling, goes all the way back there. So we're just gonna leave that be. Then up here I have this, which Krista, if you guys know Christology now, or Kisa Bunny from back in the day, she gave us this when we went on a trip together, and I still have it here in my room. My mom got me this little plate with like a little cat on it because she knows I love cats but refuses to let me have one, so she gives me cat things to make up for it. Up here I have this music quiz game that my friend gave me, but I actually kind of like it more as decor because it looks like a little vinyl player, so I keep it there. This old Dell monitor, it is old reliable, it still works for me, I have no qualms. Over here I have the Audio-Technica MX40s, I believe that these are. Then over here I have my little computer speakers that I still use sometimes just to get the audio out of my synth and play around with that without having to use a whole computer and a whole setup. Here I have my Focusrite 4i4. Down below, we have all the same old things I've always had down here, including all of my sim games. We have Sims 2, we have some Sims 3, and then we have Sims Bore right there. If we come back up here, I have the same old mirror thing that I've always had. The one thing I wanted to do is I wanted to keep this room feeling like a bedroom or even like an old lady's space. So I kept a lot of the different things like that in here because I didn't want it to feel too technical. I wanted it to still feel homey, which is why I still have all of these other little nonsense tchotchkes here. This squirrel, I always feel like it's mocking me. Then up here I have 2 cups holding pens And I swear if I add one more pen, it's going to burst and it's gonna fall back there into the void where things never come back. God has been just so good to me. And I was able to get another laptop quite quickly, and it's really a huge upgrade to what I had before. Here I just have a bunch of different stickers from some of the different things that I like. So Thunder and Lightning from Girl Meets World, you see a lot of TV characters. This thing from Sailor Moon, Noise Toit from Brooklyn Nine-Nine, Trick, lots of little One Tree Hill related things on here. And yeah, those are my stickers. And I actually named the laptop Halbert. Then we come over here. We're gonna get to you. Don't push me. We get over here, and I also happen to pair it with an iPad. I wanted to use it as a second monitor, which you can do if you use Sidecar. I also wanted to get into digital drawing, which I told you guys in the previous video. So I went ahead and got this, and I named it Beasley. So that's also another reason that the laptop got named Halbert, because I knew as a fact I wanted to name this Beasley because I was gonna use it for drawing. And Pam's an artist. Like, I don't know, it just felt perfect. And I have her drawing set as both the background, and then I have a sticker of it over here too. So clearly I like The Office, like every other basic human on this earth. You know what? I'm not gonna be that person. I'm not gonna make fun of myself because of what I like. I like The Office. I don't care if other people like it. We all like it. We're allowed to like it, whatever. It's good. It's quality. I have nothing to apologize for. And then over here we have the Ableton Push. And this I also got when I was panicking about leaving my job without having bought everything I wanted. And it is named Greta. So it took me a while to name it, just because I hadn't really thought of anything for a really long time. But I have this thing where I've been naming all of my like keyboards and stuff G names. And I was like, all right, well, you know what? The Ableton Push can be Greta. I became obsessed with the movie Little Women. I love Greta Gerwig and everything that she does. And I was like, this feels right. Like, this is like a big command control center thing for Ableton. So naming it Greta after like such a great director and somebody who is looking at every little piece of a project, I'm like, perfect. So this is Greta. And if we open up where the keyboard goes, here is my Microkorg XL. Lights had one of these. And the first synthesizer, before I even knew anything about synthesizers, I was watching a Siberia behind the scenes video of one of the songs, and she had this, and I was like, what is it? And I had to rewind like 5 times to hear what she was saying, and I was like, oh, Microkorg, okay. So I started looking into them. I did research for like a year on this thing. And I almost bought the newer model, but then I'm like, I kind of want the older one that she wants. I liked the look of it a little bit more. And the new features, I don't know, it just didn't seem like enough for me to need to get it. So I got this one, and I bought it once before. And I had to return it because they sent it to me with the wrong power supply. By the way, I bought it used at the music store that I will not name, and it was their fault. And it literally started to smoke. So I burned a little bit of the inside of the instrument because they gave me the wrong power supply, and I'm like, oh, I'm not keeping this. So I returned it, and then I went to the wonderful reverb.com, which is really nice because people sell new and used on there, and it's just, I don't know, I trust it a lot more. It's just a lot more direct. You can communicate with the sellers more, and I managed to get this lovely piece in the process. I named it Gabe because I was watching an episode of The Office, right? I was hesitant about buying this. And then there's a scene where Andy is puking on the toilet, and Gabe comes up with this exact synthesizer, I kid you not, and starts playing music to him. And I was like, oh, okay, I gotta get it, and I have to name it Gabe. And then we come over here, and these are all the things I have hidden back here for such a long time. I have a box for the audio interface, the Scarlett 404. Is there a light back there? Is there a hole from my room into the bathroom? You know what, we're gonna ignore that for now. But that's a new discovery, and I'm gonna look into that later because that's super weird. But anyway, I don't buy cases, so I'm gonna go ahead and just use this if I ever need to bring it with me, and then I'll use that as my case. Here I have a box where I keep hard drives, extra cables, etc. Here is something I barely use because I don't have the effort to plug it in, but it's cool enough. It is by Zoom and it has basically a bunch of like preset digital effects. The pedals I had over there were analog. This is kind of like a device with lots of pedal-like sounds, but it's digital. So they're not gonna sound as great, but I think it's cool whenever I just wanna have everything in one thing and play around with different sounds with the guitar. It's essentially turning your guitar into a synthesizer. Over here, we have another keyboard, and it is the Arturia Keystep. I will insert a picture here above this dusty box. It has an arpeggiator and a sequencer and all of those things on board, so I felt that this was a necessity to have. And then back there, I actually have a box for a different microphone that I have yet to use. I need to do more research and figure that out. I'm still so disturbed at the thought that there is a hole from the bathroom to my room. No wonder when guests are over, I can hear them using the bathroom. What? Over here, I have my Boss Katana amp. I started out with this amp. It just gets a lot louder, it's bigger, and it has like a lot more options. What I liked a lot about it was that I can do electric and acoustic instruments on this, as opposed to that just being an amp for electric instruments only. So I was like, okay, well then let me get this so I have something that serves all of the purposes. And in here is actually just where I keep all of my makeup, and it's not organized, so we're gonna leave that alone. All of these things are makeup related, and then a bunch of winter hats and gloves are in there. Also ignore that. I don't know if you guys ever get mail and then just throw it somewhere and hope it goes away, but that's the place for mine. And yeah, that is really the whole space. My old bedroom was not very big, so I fit in here what I can. It serves its purpose. One thing I do eventually want to do is get like wall treatments because the room does reverberate a lot, so when I go to record, it's gonna sound a little bit weird, and if I want a cleaner sound, I gotta get me some panels. But yeah, this is really it. I hope that you guys enjoyed. If you have any questions regarding any of these pieces, let me know.